boy Gar. Greetings, I am Tad Larkin, the lore master of Manda-LORE, and today I'll be digging through the archives to elaborate on Leia Organa Solo, hero of the Rebellion, New Republic, and the Jedi Order. Leia Amidala Skywalker was born in 19 BBY with her twin brother Luke Skywalker to Padme Amidala and Anakin Skywalker. As her mother died in childbirth, she was adopted by Queen Leia Organa and Senator Bail Organa of Alderaan to hide her from her father, the newly anointed Sith Lord Darth Vader. Leia's childhood consisted of being doted over by her aunts, being tutored in politics, history, and court etiquette, and accompanying her father on diplomatic journeys to exotic worlds. Her disdain for the Galactic Empire started to show on these trips with her father as she saw the way non-humans and women were mistreated and discriminated against within the Empire. With encouragement and backing from her father, Leia became the youngest senator in the Imperial Senate at 18 years old. Her first exposure to the rebellion came when she was 16 and accidentally overheard Bail talking with Mon Mothma and Garm Bel Iblis about the alliance to restore the Republic, and although she didn't tell her father, she'd end up being involved in the movement anyway later. In her few years as an Imperial Senator, she did everything she could to help out the movement without leaving direct evidence to her involvement, of course. 2 years before the Battle of Yavin, Leia was present via hologram at the signing of the Corellian Treaty, combining the forces of Mon Mothma of Chandrila, Garm Bel Iblis of Corellia, Bail Organa of Alderaan, and the Jedi exile Ram Koda's militia into the alliance to restore the Republic. During a mission to bring medical supplies to Raltir, disguised as a diplomatic mission, Leia learned of a secret weapon capable of destroying an entire planet. The information was confirmed by Mon Mothma and Bail Organa, and Operation Skyhook was initiated, recruiting agents like Kyle Katarn to infiltrate and retrieve key schematics for this new superweapon revealed to be the Death Star. Upon successful retrieval of the Death Star schematics, they were transferred to Leia's Corellian corvette, the Tantive 4, but before she could transfer them to the Star Cruiser Liberty, the Imperial One-class Star Destroyer Devastator entered the system. Leia quickly made the jump to Tatooine in an attempt to fulfill the second part of her mission, which was to recruit the Jedi in exile Obi-Wan Kenobi's help at the bidding of her father, but the Devastator followed her. A small skirmish ensued, but the Tantive 4 was ultimately boarded by Darth Vader, and Leia was captured not before trusting the Death Star plans to R2-D2 before her imprisonment. After being tortured and watching Alderaan blasted into oblivion, she still refused to give up the location of the plans and the Rebel base. She thought she was left for dead when Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Chewbacca, Obi-Wan Kenobi, 3PO, and R2-D2 sprung her from the Death Star's detention level and made a hasty retreat to Yavin 4. With the tracking device on the Millennium Falcon revealing the Rebel base on Yavin 4, the historic Battle of Yavin ensued, resulting in the Death Star's destruction at the hands of Luke Skywalker. The Alliance searched 2 years for a new base. Meanwhile, Leia took it upon herself to secure new means of funding after Alderaan's destruction, as well as bringing more systems into the fold. N2 ABY Echo Base was established on the frigid ice world of Hoth, and a year later, Imperial probes managed to get a readout on the base, revealing its location. Vader's fleet entered the Hoth system, and a ground force led by General Maximilian Veers destroyed Echo Base. Leia led the evacuation of Hoth, waiting until every transport had slipped past the Imperial fleet, and then leaving herself on board the Millennium Falcon. Darth Vader's fleet pursued the Falcon through Hoth's asteroid fields until Han gave them the slip, escaping to the Bespin system. They arrived at Cloud City and were greeted with hospitality by Han's old friend, Lando Calrissian, and everything seemed fine until it was revealed that Vader had been dealing with Lando the entire time. Han was frozen in carbonite and taken by Boba Fett while Luke was rescued after a fateful duel with Darth Vader, and Leia, Lando, Chewbacca, and Luke regrouped with the Alliance fleet. After the disaster at Bespin, Leia found herself dividing time between missions for the Rebel Alliance and her personal search for Han Solo, who before being frozen revealed she loved him. 3.5 years after the Battle of Yavin, Leia sought aid of the Black Sun crime syndicate leader Prince Shizor in helping her find Han. After a swift kick in the groin, resulting from Shizor's attempts to seduce Leia, he imprisoned her until she was broken out by Dash Rendar, Luke, Lando, and Chewbacca. Eventually, the information came to her that Han was being held at Jabba's palace on Tatooine, so Leia disguised herself as the bounty hunter Boushh in an attempt to rescue him. She managed to unfreeze Han, but was quickly found out and forced to be Jabba's slave. Through the combined efforts of Leia, Chewbacca, Han, Lando, R2, and Luke, they managed to destroy Jabba's sail barge and escape before being forced into the Sarlacc pit. They regrouped with the Alliance fleet just in time before the briefing on the assault on the second Death Star over Endor. Leia, Luke, Han, Chewbacca, R2, 3PO, and Renegade Squadron crammed into a stolen Imperial Lambda-class shuttle and slipped past the Imperial fleet, landing on Endor's surface. Tasked with neutralizing the Death Star's deflector shield generator, they recruited the help of Ewoks to aid in the upcoming battle. While Luke dueled with Vader one last time on the Death Star, Han, Leia, Chewbacca, and Renegade Squadron placed their detonators on the shield bunker, knocking out the generator, allowing Lando, Wedge Antilles, and Rogue Squadron to hit the Death Star's main reactor core. With Emperor Palpatine, Vader, and the second Death Star destroyed, celebration erupted across the galaxy, and Leia and Luke were reunited and rejoiced in their newfound siblinghood. As the Empire deteriorated to squabbling warlords all vying for their own slice of the Galactic Empire, Leia was putting all her effort into the tedious work involved in establishing a new government, even negotiating a temporary truce with the Imperial world of Bakura after it fell victim to the Caesaruk invasion. The following year, she was heavily involved in getting the Alliance of Free Planets on its feet, which only lasted about a month, and surviving the invasions of the Caesaruk, Nagai, and Tophs from orbiting satellite galaxies. In 5 ABY, Mon Mothma declared the New Republic, and Leia served on the Provisional Council. In between her duties helping the New Republic consolidate, Leia began receiving introductory lessons on using the Force by her brother Luke. However, she rarely found the time to practice seriously. After the liberation of Coruscant in 6 ABY and the vaccine for the Krytos virus being administered to all non-humans on Coruscant, the New Republic was strapped for cash and on the verge of collapse. Leia visited the Hapes Consortium in hopes of delegating an alliance between the two nations. However, an arranged marriage between her and Prince Isildur was proposed, and she was seriously considering it if it cemented an alliance between the Consortium and the fledgling New Republic. Filled with jealousy, Han Solo kidnapped Leia and brought her to Dathomir, which he supposedly won in a game of sabak. However, the Imperial remnant had a strong presence there and shot down the Falcon. Being helped by the Singing Mountain clan of Dathomirian witches, the Falcon was repaired and a battle ensued over Dathomir, resulting in the death of Warlord Zinj. In the excitement, she realized just how much she loved Han and chose him over Isildur, and the two were married in 8 ABY. In 9 ABY, during the Thrawn crisis, Leia gave birth to twins, Jacen and Jaina Solo, and the two quickly became the poster children for the New Republic. A year later, the clone of Emperor Palpatine containing his Force essence revealed himself to the galaxy. He succeeded in turning Luke to the dark side, and Leia was instrumental in helping Luke come back to the light. Soon after, Leia's third child, Anakin Solo, was born, and she successfully protected him from Palpatine's Force essence as he tried to transfer to Anakin's body after his last clone body died, destroying Palpatine for good finally. In 11 ABY, Leia was elected to her first term of office as Chief of State of the New Republic, and founded the colony of New Alderaan, set up for the refugees who were off-world when their home planet was destroyed. Though she loved all three of her children dearly, her busy schedule made it somewhat easy for numerous kidnapping attempts on the Solo children. However, her and Han always managed to bring their children home. As the Imperial remnant's power waned and the number of Imperial warlords were lessened, Chief of State Leia Organa Solo began having to deal with more internal matters within the New Republic. 19 years after the Battle of Yavin, Leia took a leave of absence as Chief of State after the difficulties she faced during the Black Fleet crisis, Corellian insurrection, and the threat of a vote of no confidence in her administration. Ponk Gaversum took Leia's place, and after giving the Kamas documents to Admiral Gilad Palian, she initiated talks which led to the signing of the Palian-Gaversum Treaty that same year. At the urging of her friends and colleagues in the government, Leia ran for Chief of State again, and in 21 ABY she was re-elected. She trusted her 3 children, all with strong connections to the Force, to the tutelage of her brother Luke, who taught them in the ways of the Jedi at his Proxium on Yavin 4. Under Luke's guidance, Leia's children grew up to be powerful Jedi, defending the galaxy during the Yuuzhan Vong War. Leia's final term as Chief of State ran out in 25 ABY, and she was succeeded by Borsk Felia, who failed to heed Leia's warnings about the imminent invasion from the extragalactic species known as the Yuuzhan Vong. During the Yuuzhan Vong War, Leia led the evacuations of many worlds and helped relocate refugees from war-torn planets across the galaxy. However, tragedy struck her when she lost her youngest son Anakin during a mission to Merkur. It was during this conflict that Leia put aside her political career and started focusing more on her family, repairing her relationship with Jaina and Han after the loss of his companion, Chewbacca. She also set about making a stronger connection with the Force, and during the Dark Nest crisis of 35 to 36 ABY, she begged her brother to let her join the Jedi Order and have her training completed. She was accepted and asked Jedi Master Saba Sabatine to take her on as an apprentice, which Sabatine agreed. She proved herself a capable warrior, defeating her first Dark Jedi Alima Rar in a duel during the Swarm War. The 55-year-old Leia was finally a Jedi Knight and was permitted to construct her own lightsaber, even though she had constructed her own 20 years earlier under Luke's tutelage. During the Second Galactic Civil War in 40 ABY, Leia started out remaining loyal to the Galactic Alliance, the successor government to the New Republic, but in secret aided the Corellian Confederation. Leia had to come to terms with her son Jacen turning to the dark side, recognizing that he was now Darth Caedus and her true son was dead. She aided in the rescuing of the Hapian princess Alana Ka, who she later found out was her granddaughter, and was there to reclaim Jacen's body after his fateful duel with Jaina. Han and Leia took Alana and raised her, knowing she'd be safer with them than back at home, and Leia proved an amazing grandmother as well as a Jedi Master. Sorry to break character here, guys, but although Carrie Fisher is no longer with us, her character, Princess Leia Organa Solo, will continue to live on, not only in the Legends timeline, but probably in Disney's new canon timeline as well, depending on what they decide to do with her character. This ends my findings on Leia Organa Solo. Keep your comm channels open for future transmissions, and don't forget to subscribe. Tad Lorkin, out.